Welcome to the Customer Wins podcast, where business leaders discuss their secrets and techniques for helping their customers succeed and in turn grow their business.
Hi, I'm Rich Walker, the host of the Customer Wins, where I talk to business leaders about how they help their customers win and how their focus on customer experience leads to growth. Some of our past guests have included Jason Mandel of the Mandel Family Office, Clifton Schaller of Future Vault, Jeff Schwantz of Advisor 360, and Chip Kispert of Beacon Strategies. Today, I'm speaking with Justin Bolmgren, financial planner and chief process maestro for William Joseph Capital Management. And today's episode is brought to you by Quick, the leader in enterprise forms processing. When your business relies upon processing forms, don't waste your team's valuable time manually reviewing the forms. Instead, get Quick. Using our Form Extract API, simply submit your completed forms and get back clean, context-rich data that is 99.9% accurate. Visit quickforms.com to get started. All right, I'm excited to talk to Justin, who has some very interesting titles. So Justin Bolmgren is a financial planning expert with over 20 years in the financial services industry. He is the top ops guy at William Joseph Capital Management, an SEC registered investment advisor that serves independent financial advisors. He's active in advice tech, automation, and artificial intelligence, serving as a strategic advisor to 2 Fintech startups. Justin, welcome to the Customer Wins.
Rich, so glad to be with you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I'm excited to figure out all these titles and what they all mean. So, and we didn't even say all the titles yet. If you haven't heard this podcast before, I talk with business leaders about what they're doing to help their customers win, how they built and deliver a great customer experience, and the challenges to growing their own company. Justin, let's start by understanding your business a little better. How does your company help people?
Yeah, thanks a lot. Our company, William Joseph Capital Management, is an SEC registered investment advisor. We help specific types of advisors who connect with centers of influence to help their clients, mostly in the retirement age. As you mentioned with my title, Chief Process Maestro, we like our non-traditional titles a bit. So traditionally more of the chief operating officer type role, but we focus on processes to help the advisors to more effectively run their practices, because for most of them, this isn't their primary source of activity. Many of them working in insurance, Medicare, other types of aspects. We focus on processes just to make it as easy as possible for them to do investment advisory business.
So one of the things I love about the title aspect of this is that when you talk to companies who claim to be customer-centric, changing your title shows that you're customer-centric, because that's essentially what you're saying is you're focused on how do you build the best process for your end customer, essentially. And what is it that you actually do to figure out what the process should be and to make it work for everybody?
So we have 2 other partners, and again, with the non-traditional roles, we specifically stick in our lanes. So we help from a sales perspective, a practice management, and of course, I help with the process oriented. So none of us kind of have this one on top of the other type of approach. We just kind of stick with what we do to help our advisors. Now, each of our advisors, as mentioned, they have different kind of non-traditional practice styles. So we teach them from helping them to take these centers of influence to interact with them. From that point, we help them as well to easily kind of input that into business with some of our vendors. So kind of from top down, we've developed a process with our centers of influence as well as our advisors, and we kind of teach them that whole process so that they can build their books.
Nice. Describe to me a center of influence and what you mean by that.
So most of our centers of influence that are affiliated with William Joseph are Medicare agents, insurance agents, brokers, and some accountants as well. So we help them to find additional sources of revenue and to not take on the whole responsibility of being an advisor. So we pair them with some other servicing advisors, kind of pair them together so they work together as a team. So one helps with the investment portfolios, getting the forms ready, helping the client with reviews. Whereas the centers of influence, their primary role is the relationship. So we kind of teach them that unique dynamic.
Got it. So these are people who have more than just the financial planning business. They have and you're bringing more to make it a holistic business, in other words.
Exactly.
That's great. So one of the things about process is that you have to train people on it. You have to measure their success and you have to get adoption. How do you know if that's working? How do you know if the training's sticking and the adoption's happening?
Yeah, so what we've found is that the our centers of influence that adopt that type of kind of partnership approach, where they're partnering with experienced advisors to help them with the investments, the financial planning tools, all the compliance aspects. We find that those are much more productive, and we measure success based on, of course, the number of accounts and assets under management. So we see a significant increase in those types of partnerships over your kind of traditional advisor who's trying to do it all themselves.
Yeah. And how tech heavy is your process? What role is technology playing in all this?
Yeah, so we have a very robust marketing system that we use that we've centralized in house. So we have a marketing lead that it's their job to post content. We've built out microsites for the advisors so that they can have their own brand, social media. So all of that's handled in house. So once we kind of hook that up together, our in-house marketing lead takes care of that process. Because some of the other internal process when it comes to individual sales, that's where some of my other partners come in, where they teach them how to identify and qualify prospects and leads, how to then transition that over to the servicing advisor, so you can have a nice smooth transition to talk about investments, to bring that up, help them through the planning process, and then work together so the client sees that it's a team effort and not some sort of just handoff. So from there, I pick it up with the process on the back office, getting the work done. So our team from there helps the advisors to get the leads into the red tail system, to get the documents uploaded, to walk through all the process. We've got a very robust system then for training to make it as easy as possible for them to do business.
Got it. Awesome. All right. So one of the things that led me to talk to you is the different titles you have on LinkedIn. Are you also a financial planner and have your own book of business?
Yeah. So you've been in the business for long enough and you just can't help but having a book of business yourself. So yeah, so for 20 some years, I've maintained a book, good loyal clients. So yeah, still maintain that on top of my role as the chief process maestro.
Nice. Awesome. All right. So let's talk about your advisement to other fintechs. How did that happen?
So just been a passion of mine for the last few years as I think about processes. Previously before merging with William Joseph, I ran my own RIA, and found myself wearing so many different hats and always looking to where's this next hire. As you reach kind of a scale, making those tough decisions as a business owner, always looking to find better processes to speed it up, to make me more efficient. That kind of led to discovering a passion in fintech. So currently I am a strategic advisor for a client engagement tool for 401k plans, as well as I'm an advisor to an AI enhanced co-pilots for meetings and paraplanning.
Okay. The 401k one, is that also an AI driven tool?
No, so the brand Budget Simple, we set out as to basically for advisors who are in the 401k space. So professionally, I work with a lot of retirement and retirement plans. So it's a space that I know really well. So looking to help advisors to compete in that space with some of the big boys, in the industry. Some new technologies have come out with some of these larger 401k providers. that we wanted to develop a tool that enables these advisors in the 401k space to compete in terms of engagement. So at the core of it, it's a financial wellness suite with some light CRM and client engagement aspects. So the advisor then can go to the plan sponsor and give them this suite of tools to engage with the participants on a scalable way, so that they don't have to to interact with each and every one that may not fit their practice needs. So we kind of created this scalable solution to work with the plan participants.
I don't know a lot of people know this, Justin, but back in college, I interned at Kidder Peabody, which became Payne Weber. And the broker I worked for, he worked super hard and he won one of the 6 largest law firms in the nation to take over their 401k. And I got to help build that PowerPoint deck and presentation, but it was printed on cellular clear screen and put into an overhead projector. It wasn't like the PowerPoint we have today. And I was always curious about like how you actually engage with people to get them to say, yeah, I'll put my money in, I'll put more money in, et cetera. For our own company, we're small. We hired an advisor to come in and give our team some time to help them understand things. So when you talk about engagement, what is it actually doing? Is it helping people forecast their retirement plan, or is it just simply explaining the fund choices they have? What is this doing with the engagement?
Yeah, no, good question. So really has a few elements. So in the financial wellness piece is, traditionally more about budgeting and goal setting. So that's at the heart of the tool. So budgeting, goal setting, calculators. So yeah, retirement projections, building out different scores, risk scores, what is your confidence towards reaching your retirement goals, all those types of things. So that's kind of the heart of the whole financial wellness, and most of it's it's all self-service, right? So you're, as an advisor, you're working with a lot of different plan sponsors. Each of them may have dozens, hundreds of different participants. You just don't have the time to serve as a sponsor as well as the participants on an individual way. So most of the work, the tools, is being pushed out to the participants so that they can work through it. But another leg, an option with that is the coaching. So an advisor who may have other practice areas, maybe they do hourly financial planning, maybe they do investment advice, maybe they sell insurance, whatever the case is. They then can choose to have the participants, when a need arises, then to engage with the advisors, on that kind of specific level. So it has the coaching piece of it. So, with those kind of two combined, the advisor then can see, what are people interested in? We have a robust system of courses and articles. So, for example, if a participant is researching and taking one of the courses on what to do with an inheritance, what does that tell you as an advisor? Well, likely they're expecting some sort of inheritance, so you can engage with that participant. So that's the proactive piece of it. So you've got the reactive financial wellness, the coaching, but the proactive, identifying what people are engaging with.
So I was going to ask a blunt question, which you started to answer, which is what's in it for the advisor to recommend such a tool. But what I'm hearing from this is it helps them identify who needs more help. But I'm also kind of wondering, I mean, if you're bringing on a 401k, typically the highest earners in the company are putting into the 401k, so it's top heavy. And I don't mean top heavy out of compliance, but that's
Sure.
that's where most of the money is coming in. Does that product that you're talking about actually help them grow the assets in the 401k then?
It does. So, you can push out things to help them engage. Should we do pre-tax, after tax? So, as you're helping individuals reach their retirement goals, naturally, it benefits the owners. If you can help them reach their retirement goals, it helps the business owner, plan sponsor, in other ways as well. Reducing long-term healthcare costs, in the plan, encouraging them to take advantage of things like HSAs and FSAs. So, all of those way in kind of a roundabout way can definitely help the business owner.
Got it. Oh, that's great. That sounds like a great product. All right, let's switch to the AI driven one. Tell me about the AI driven one because I love AI.
Yeah, so AI, of course, a hot topic. Wanted to be kind of in the foremost of that,
Well, and we should go back.
because
What's your title on LinkedIn? The second, what is it?
second most important AI advocate. Yeah,
That's right.
I, I'm sure there's a first out there, Rich. I just, and I know it's not me, but so I played it safe with second.
Nice. I love it. Oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah, so with AI looking from a process standpoint, um, identifying certain pain points where advisors are spending a lot of time. I mean, that's really what it is. We want to look. There's a lot of cool things out there, but to put it to practical use, what are some things that are driving the advisor's time? Well, it's preparing for doing meetings and post meetings, right? That's a major pain point. Researching and training, that's another pain point. Processing tools like risk analysis and portfolio analysis, these all take a lot of time. That early on we could see how AI could really speed that process up. So that's what we're kind of working on.
Nice. So are you seeing these tools as potential things you want to bring back to your company?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So my company has been very generous with this and being an early adopter. So yeah, we're already starting to see some value in some of these processes. For example, training. So in any given day, an advisor may use half dozen different tools in their tech stack, right?
Mhm.
So you've got multiple people using different tools. We've got a home office on various experience levels as well. Centralizing as a knowledge bank all those tools and how to's and processes into a single source provides that consistency across the board. No more does one person do it this way and another do it that way. Another person doesn't know, so he asks a question, and it takes time to answer. We can kind of level that playing field with just an easy access to training tools.
Nice. I love that. I want to talk to you more about the risks and fears people have because you're an advocate for AI, but with the risks and fears people have about AI. So first of all, what are the ones you hear from your centers of influence, for example, the people you're serving?
Yeah, so of course, from an advisor's perspective, there's a lot of risks in our industry of giving bad advice. So obviously, the one that's probably on touted the most often is really what's called hallucinations, right? So
Oh,
it's giving incorrect information. So it's been now communicated as a proxy on your behalf, and are you liable? So that, of course, makes people a lot of very nervous. And the quality too. You got to remember the whole goal is to speed up things. But if at the end of the day you find yourself in a rut, it goes down a wrong path, does something incorrect and blows something up, you could at the end of the day be spending more time. So liability and time as a result of these incorrect or hallucinations that you see is probably number one that we hear. Another common one has to do um, the transcription piece. A lot of the AI tools are now interacting or being able as like a co-pilot on meetings.
mhm.
So what to do with that data, the privacy with that, what responsibility am I taking on because now I'm storing this data. So those are the two biggies that I'm seeing. With risk in the industry is what do we do with this data after we've got it, and are we really speeding things up if there are hallucinations?
Yeah, so two things there. First of all, you've probably thought about this way more than me, but I just don't think I've thought about having a conversation through Zoom and recording it, whether it's transcribing or not, recording it, going up on their cloud. What does that mean to that content that's up there? How secure is that? How safe is that? I'm going to tell you a story about hallucination without naming names, but a lending company had an AI chatbot working with people who are behind on their payments and started to hallucinate by saying to the customer, because the customer would claim a hardship or whatever, oh, you can skip this month's payment. No, wait. You can't do that. The AI can't just suddenly arbitrarily tell people to not make a payment and it's okay. They can't make policy changes. So I think that's a really big issue that you have to be cautious of. But I mean, those types of fears, how are they being addressed with product, or are there products yet that are being adopted that play to those fears?
Yeah, it's interesting, as we've discussed with one of the companies that we're advising on building this. I mean, just state of the art Copilot for meetings, but beyond that, really kind of you'd imagine like a client GPT, where picture a world where you can not just improve the data that's going into the CRM, but you're also more accessible getting that data out of there. So just kind of imagine if now all of a sudden you turn your CRM and past meetings into now the knowledge base for a GPT, how robust that that information could be. So you store that data, you take that risk on. If you're a company, you take that risk on, and there's going to be some implications for it. So providing options, I think, is the way to mitigate it. So a lot of these new products here, there's a comfort level that we're seeing these providers who are building out tools like this better be prepared to provide options, because even if there's legitimacy, not everybody's want to take it on. So like for us, what do you want to do with this? Do you want us to end the meeting, get what we want out of it, destroy it? Do you want us to take this, we want to store it here so we can access it later? Do we want to put it onto a third party that you own? So providing those options is really, for anybody kind of starting in building AI tools, is going to just need to address the preference that the advisor has, because it's so early. We really should concede to the advisor, the RIA, allowing themselves that preference.
I have to admit, though, that kind of feels like 20 years ago with CRMs. You wanted on premise, and then it became cloud available. And a lot of people said, myself included, I'm not putting my data in the cloud. And today, I mean, why wouldn't you have it in the cloud? So how important is that? I mean, are we talking about having it in your own private cloud then that you control and you manage? Is that what you're getting at?
So yeah. So you as the AI provider, maybe do you want to take on that risk of owning that data? If you're owning a transcript, client recording in a video, do you want to own that? Is that do you want to carry that risk? I think the preference, because that's nice to be able to have all of that. I think the preference is not owning it, is storing that in something that the client already has, a OneDrive, Google Drive, put it into their CRM, things like that. So we're not adding on any other policies and procedures on the storage of client data.
Yeah. Here at Quick, we process forms, right? And for the last 20 plus years, we really did not want client data in our system. If you generate a form, we don't hold your data. We just give it back to you in a format of a form. In the last couple of years, we've introduced a vault technology to store the data and take on that risk. But honestly, what we did is we encrypt every single field on the form differently. And then we tokenize it even further so that the data, you can't understand what the data means, and you can't decrypt tokens. So it keeps it fully separate. I mean, I personally, as a tech vendor, I see it as a huge risk to take on client data and hold it. I have a hard time understanding even how the AI companies deal with it. So let me ask you another question. Are you familiar with Wealth Management GPT? You mentioned some GPT tools. Have you tried Wealth Management GPT?
I have, yeah. Great. Mark Butler built a nice platform, early adopter to the content creation. Had a nice conversation with him, and makes sense as just a business leader. Very on top of things. He said, Justin, if advisors are going to be reluctant to adopt a content creator, which just by any part of the financial services world, you're never going to just take the output from a GPT or anything else and just bypass your compliance department. That'll never happen. So you're always going to have those layers. And he says, listen, if they're not going to be comfortable with creating content, they're not going to be comfortable with some of the more robust, tools that are kind of a little esoteric, right? I thought that
Hmm.
made sense, and he's kind of proved out and helped to to build comfort with that as the maturity of his business has grown. So I think he's done a great job in doing that.
Yeah, I had him on my show a year ago, just before he was announcing the GPT, the wealth management GPT. So I probably need to have him back on to talk about it in more depth. Smart guy, sounds like a great product. I personally haven't seen it. I need to play with it myself, but so many things. But I also agree with what you said that if you don't get comfortable with the basics, how do you move forward with the advanced? It's kind of like e-signature. I think adoption of e-signature in our industry actually comes from grocery stores and the FedEx or the
Oh,
UPS guy. Because as consumers, we got used to it. Oh, just sign here at the check stand. It became easy. Now I can do it on my computer. Okay, that's the next step. That makes more sense. Um, so I'm also curious as you look forward with AI. Number one, you've talked a lot about how it impacts, without saying it, you've talked about how it's impacting efficiencies and how much time people can spend with their clients, et cetera. So it's having a positive impact. But number two, what do you want to see AI do? Like, what's your ideal solution with this stuff?
yeah. So obviously, a general fear from maybe the advisors is this going to replace me? There was maybe some fears, and I'm drawing some assumptions here. Early on, if you remember, kind of some of the robo advisor world, as that was kind of coming out, what was the fears then? What impact is that going to have on me and my practice, right? So the
Hmm.
fear and insecurity. At the end of the day, it fit a niche and didn't have a dramatic impact on the advisor community. They've long since used AI to match risk and needs and all of that with appropriate portfolios, and all of that makes sense, right? So fast forward to today, there's going to be that kind of 800-pound gorilla in the room. Is AI going to replace me as an advisor? That's going to be there. I think it'll shrink over time. Ultimately, I think it'll lead to a consolidation of tools. We're going to have a lot of fragmented tools here. The next few years, there'll be some consolidations. And with that, I think at the end of the day, we'll find that advisors will be able to be able more efficient, and which will reduce the amount of support staff and manual data. So years ago, everybody was told that you could break away, become an advisor, run your practice. Since then, the operational compliance concerns have done nothing but get more and more
Right.
put on. So I think this is helping to lay maybe lay the groundwork to leveling that off a bit. Is getting back into more of an independent advisor practice who's going to use tools to be able to manage their business, but focus more on the advice part, which is why we do it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's right. I somebody else was on my show and I forgot who at the moment, but he said that you can't imagine an AI sitting with a grieving spouse when they've lost their spouse, right? You can't replace the human
Mm-hmm.
connection that you need as an advisor, which is why I think robo advisors don't actually work. You still need that one-on-one care and feeling and insights that only a human can provide. But I do think it's remarkable what's going to happen with this. In fact, we are talking yesterday to somebody that GPT is going to be the status quo. Everybody's going to have it. What's going to be different is the unique data that you present to it, the unique way in which you use it that's going to change things. So,
Agreed.
what do you have a favorite AI tool right now that's helping you run your daily life?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned, we've already kind of started working on some co-pilots for meetings and interactions and stuff. So that's already starting to have an impact on my personal practice. Also, with in terms of content creation, we live in a world where you need to post regularly, keep your content unique, personalized, and so on and so forth. So we built out some personalized content creators, to keep information current and relevant. So those things I'm pretty much using it just about every day.
Nice. Awesome. Well, Justin, we're gonna have to wrap up. I have another question for you, but before I ask it, what's the best way for people to find and connect with you?
Yeah, enjoy meeting new connections. So feel free to find me on LinkedIn.
Okay, awesome. Justin Bolmgren on LinkedIn. All right, so here's my last question. Who has had the biggest impact on your leadership style and how you approach your role today?
Yeah. So start of my business and my current right now, I want to just talk about, so early, got started in the industry in college. He was a top producer at a wirehouse. His name was Mike Dobbins, and taught me how, you don't need to be the smartest person in the room. But it was about trust. So what I learned in building trust in customers it still resonates with me today. In terms of leadership, a longtime friend and my coworker William Joseph, Matthew Sweeney. So how he interacts with our employees, continue to learn from him today.
I love having great role models like that. It's nice to hear about that. Well, Justin, I want to say a big thank you to Justin Bolmgren, financial planner, chief process maestro for William Joseph Capital, for being on this episode of The Customer Wins. Go check out Justin's website at williamjosephcapital.com. And don't forget to check out Quick at quickforms.com, where we make processing forms easy. I hope you enjoyed this discussion. We'll click the like button, share this with someone, and subscribe to our channels for future episodes of The Customer Wins. Justin, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Customer Wins podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.